In the modern United States, technology saturates nearly every aspect of daily life. From the moment a smartphone alarm wakes a person in the morning to the time the same device dims before bed, society treats technology as a universal key to progress. Advertisements, workplace policies, and popular culture continually reinforce two particularly influential myths. One, that more technology automatically produces more productivity, and two, that social media connects people more deeply. These beliefs persist because they align with cultural ideals about innovation and are supported by corporate narratives that profit from technological expansion. However, research and real world experiences challenge both assumptions. Rather than guaranteeing productivity, technology often introduces cognitive distractions and uneven economic gains. Likewise, rather than fostering deep human connections, social media frequently amplifies superficial engagement and emotional isolation. Examining how these myths originate, who benefits from them, and their social and psychological consequences reveals that uncritical faith in technology can distort both behavior and policy. The idea that more technology always increases productivity has roots in America's long-standing faith in progress. Since the Industrial Revolution, society has associated new machines and innovations with efficiency, economic growth, and prosperity. Today, technology companies and policymakers continue this tradition by marketing each new device or system as a solution to inefficiency and stagnation. Corporate advertising promises that apps, artificial intelligence, and automation tools will boost efficiency or streamline workflows. In political rhetoric, digital transformation is portrayed as an easy path towards competitiveness and modernization. This persistent optimism about technological progress creates an illusion that productivity is a simple function of technological intensity rather than human organization, training, or creativity. As economist Robert Solow famously remarked in 1987, quote, "You can see the computer age everywhere, but in the productivity statistics," end quote. A comment that sparked decades of inquiry in the so-called productivity paradox. The paradox arises because while firms often spend heavily on technology, aggregate productivity growth has not consistently matched these investments. Research by Eric Brynjolfsson and others show that information technology yields productivity gains only when paired with complementary organizational changes such as employee training, progress redesign, and management restructuring. This evidence reveals that technology is a catalyst for productivity, not a guarantee of it. At the individual level, technology promise of efficiency often collides with psychological reality of distraction. Experimental studies show that smartphones, despite being marketed as productivity tools, frequently undermine focus. In one controlled study, participants experienced a week of heavy smartphone interruption followed by a week of minimal interruptions. During the high interruption week, participants reported significantly greater inattention, higher stress, and lower productivity. Even when not actively in use, smartphones exert a cognitive toll. The mere presence of a phone on the table reduces conversational engagement and enjoyment. These findings demonstrate that devices designed to save time often fracture attention and reduce mental presence, eroding both individual and collective productivity. In workplace settings, automation and algorithmic management similarly reveal a gap between technological promise and human cost. Studies of warehouse automation show that output may rise, but injuries, stress, and turnover also increase as surveillance technologies intensify pressure on workers. These measured gains in efficiency conceal human costs in safety and well being, illustrating that productivity metrics can misrepresent the lived consequences of technological change. The perpetuation of this myth benefits a specific set of actors. Technology corporations and investors profit by framing each new product cycle as essential to maintaining productivity, which justifies consumer upgrades and corporate spending. Managers can also use this rhetoric to legitimize workforce reductions or cost cutting under the guise of efficiency. Policymakers, meanwhile, find it convenient to endorse technology as a neutral, non political fix for structural problems. However, believing this myth leads to distorted decision making. Organizations frequently purchase new software or automation systems without funding the training or process redesign needed to make them effective. Workers face rising burnout, constant monitoring, and decreased autonomy, while public institutions may divert funds towards flashy technology productions rather than human centered reforms. Ultimately, this myth shifts attention away from the social and organizational dimensions that actually determine productivity. The second pervasive myth that social media connects people more deeply stems from the early utopian vision of the internet as a democratizing space that would bring the world closer together. Social media companies continue to amplify this narrative. Platforms like Facebook, Instagram, X frame their mission statements around building community and maintaining relationships. These claims resonate with a culture that equates connectivity with intimacy and assumes that communication frequency automatically produces closeness. Yet, beneath this rhetoric lies a business model built on attention and data extraction. Shoshana Zuboff's concept of surveillance capitalism explains that social media platforms monetize behavioral data, designing features that maximize engagement time rather than emotional depth. The algorithms favor content that provokes strong reaction, anger, envy, or outrage because such emotions keep users scrolling and clicking. Consequently, the architecture of social media prioritizes constant stimulation over meaningful interaction. A large study of U.S. young adults found that those who spent the most time on social media were twice as likely to report feelings of social isolation compared to those who used it the least. This relationship remained even after controlling for demographic and lifestyle factors, suggesting that heavy use itself contributes to disconnection. In a follow up study, Premack and colleagues discovered that negative experiences on social media, such as conflict or exclusion, had a stronger impact on perceived isolation than positive experience had on belonging. These findings indicate that the emotional balance of online interaction is tilted toward harm. Qualitative research supports this pattern. In her book, Alone Together, Sherry Turkle argues that social media encourages shallow exchanges that substitute for genuine conversation, producing an illusion of companionship without the demands of friendship. Many users report that social media increases anxiety and self comparison as people curate idealized images of their lives and measure their worth by likes and followers. What appears as connection often conceals alienation. As with productivity myth, the belief in social media's connective power benefits particular groups. Platform companies and advertisers gain enormous profits from user engagement, while the narrative of bringing people together provides more legitimacy for invasive data collection and algorithmic surveillance. The more time people spend on platforms, the more data they generate and the more valuable they become to advertisers. This dynamic blurs the lines between user and product. At the societal level, the myth influences policy by encouraging investments in digital infrastructure without equivalent attention to mental health, privacy regulation, or civic education. Believing that social media automatically fosters community may reduce commitment to physical gathering spaces, local organizations, and face to face civic participation. The social cost of this displacement is rising polarization as algorithms amplify ideological divisions and create echo chambers that undermine democratic discourse. Defenders of technology may argue that these tools clearly provide benefits. Productivity software facilitates collaboration, telemedicine improves healthcare access, and social media allows people to maintain long distance relationships. These examples are valid, but they do not vindicate the myths in their absolute form. As research shows, technological benefits depend on context, design, and disciplined use. During the COVID-19 pandemic, digital platforms enabled remote work and connection, yet they also produce Zoom fatigue, blurred work-life boundaries, and mental exhaustion. Similarly, while social media helps sustain weak ties, it rarely replaces the trust and empathy cultivated through in-person interaction. Acknowledging both the advantages and drawbacks of technology allows for more responsible adoption without falling into the illusion that more technology automatically equals more progress. The myths that more technology guarantees productivity and that social media deepens human connection reveals how cultural optimism and corporate interests intertwine to shape public perception. These myths endure because they simplify complexity and offer easy answers to social and economic challenges. However, evidence shows that productivity gains require organizational adaptation and human focus, and that social connection requires emotional presence and trust, qualities that cannot be automated or algorithmically optimized. Believing these myths can lead to misdirected policy, overinvestment in technology at the expense of people, and widespread psychological harm. To move forward, society must replace technological determinism with technological accountability, recognizing that tools serve human ends only when designed and used with deliberation. The path to genuine productivity and connection lies not in constant upgrading, but in cultivating attention, empathy, and wisdom in how technology is integrated into everyday life.